After 12 years of marriage, I trusted two people with my life, my husband and my best friend. I didn't know they were planning my destruction, right behind my back. 2-second pause. This isn't a revenge story. This is the story of how betrayal quietly enters a happy home and burns it down from inside. For 12 years, my life looked ordinary, safe, stable, boring in the best way. We lived in a quiet neighborhood. 2 cars in the driveway. Sunday dinners. Inside jokes only married couples understand. My husband wasn't romantic, but he was consistent. And after a decade, consistency feels like love. My best friend? She was family. She stood beside me on my wedding day, held my hand during miscarriages, called me sister. She knew everything. And that was the problem. The betrayal didn't arrive loudly. It whispered. Text messages that stopped when I entered the room. Work meetings that ran late, too often. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. I told myself I was paranoid. 12 years of marriage doesn't collapse overnight, right? My best friend started visiting more, offering help, listening when I complained about my husband. She'd say things like, "You deserve more. He doesn't appreciate you." I thought she was protecting me. She was studying me. The night everything changed. One night, my husband fell asleep with his phone unlocked. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for an alarm. That's when I saw it. A message preview. Her name. "I miss you too." Today was hard pretending. My chest went cold. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I scrolled. Months of messages. Plans. Lies. They laughed about me. About how blind I was. About how easy it was to keep me calm. 12 years reduced to a joke. I confronted them the next morning. Together. Because they were already together. No denial. No sok. Just silence. My husband said, "It just happened." My best friend didn't say anything. She couldn't even look at me. That hurt more than the affair. She didn't steal my husband. She betrayed my soul. That night, I slept alone for the first time in 12 years. The house felt unfamiliar. Every wall knew the truth. I kept asking myself one question. How long was I living in a lie? I didn't know yet that this betrayal was only the beginning. That worse was coming. That I was about to lose far more than my marriage. I thought betrayal was the worst thing they could do to me. I was wrong. Because the next decision they made would leave me with nothing. I thought betrayal was the bottom. I was wrong. Because after my marriage ended, everything else started falling, one piece at a time. The house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like evidence. Every room reminded me of lies I never noticed. A week later, my husband told me something calmly, too calmly. I spoke to a lawyer. The house was in his name. The mortgage. The paperwork I never questioned in 12 years. I had 30 days to leave. 12 years of memories, reduced to cardboard boxes. That night, I sat on the floor, surrounded by packed belongings, realizing something terrifying. Love had made me careless. I tried to keep working. I needed stability. But heartbreak doesn't respect office hours. I started missing deadlines, making mistakes. Then came the meeting. HR. Closed door. Carefully chosen words. We're restructuring. I knew what it meant. No job. No income. No safety net. I walked out holding a box, the same way I'd left my house. Silently. Ashamed. Broken. I thought nothing could hurt more. Then the court papers arrived. My husband wanted full custody. He claimed I was unstable, emotionally unfit. He used my pain against me. In court, I barely recognized myself. My voice shook. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. The judge listened, and postponed a decision. Temporary custody. Not with me. I watched my child walk away holding someone else's hand, and something inside me collapsed. I moved into a small apartment I could barely afford.
No furniture.
No pictures. Just silence. I stopped answering calls. Stopped explaining. Every night, the same question echoed in my head. How did my life fall apart so fast? I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. I had lost my marriage,
My home. My job.
and my child. But what terrified me the most was realizing I had no idea how to survive next. People think rock bottom is loud. It isn't. Rock bottom is quiet. It's learning how to survive without being seen. I didn't plan to live in my car. It just happened. The apartment drained my savings. Food became optional. Gas became precious. One night, I parked near a grocery store. I reclined the seat, locked the doors, and told myself it was temporary. I learned small rules quickly. Park where lights feel safe. Wake before sunrise. Never look lost. I brushed my teeth in public bathrooms. Changed clothes in silence. From the outside, I looked normal. Inside, I was disappearing. Eventually, the car wasn't enough. A woman at a church noticed me lingering. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "You can sleep here tonight." The shelter smelled like detergent and exhaustion. Rows of strangers pretending not to look at each other. Everyone had a story. Nobody wanted to tell it. At night, I stared at the ceiling thinking, this isn't who I was supposed to become. But survival doesn't care about plans. I found night work, cleaning offices, stocking shelves, anything quiet. Night jobs don't ask many questions. I worked while the city slept. Floors became mirrors of my reflection. Tired, thinner, still standing. I counted every dollar, sent what little I could for my child. Some nights, I cried in stairwells. Other nights, I didn't feel anything at all. The hardest part wasn't hunger or exhaustion. It was the voice in my head. This is your life now. You failed. I started writing things down. Small goals. Small wins. One shift completed. One night survived. I wasn't living, but I wasn't quitting either. I didn't know it then, but survival was changing me. Because soon, someone would notice. I had been surviving for weeks, barely eating, barely sleeping. I thought my life had no rescue. Then one person saw me, not my failure, not my despair, but my potential. It happened at the shelter. She was older, calm, with eyes that seemed to weigh everything you were hiding. I can see you've been through hell, she said quietly. And I can see you're not done yet. I bristled. People say things like that all the time. But she didn't leave. She asked questions. Not about my pain, about my skills. What are you good at? I didn't know. I had lost myself completely. But I tried to answer. I used to organize things, help people, make events run smoothly. She smiled. Good. Let's start there. A week later, she helped me apply for a small admin job. Night shifts were familiar. This was different. It wasn't much, a part-time role in a small office. But it was my first paycheck in weeks that felt like progress, not survival. For the first time, I realized I can do more than just survive. I can exist. She taught me something else too. How to prioritize. How to budget. How to make connections. For the first time, I felt a roadmap instead of chaos. The job was small, but I treated it like a lifeline. I arrived early, stayed late, learned quickly. Every task completed became a reminder. I am capable. I even started saving. $2 here, $5 there. I stopped looking at survival as a trap. I saw it as a foundation. Mentor said, Don't rush. Rebuilding is slow, but slow is stronger than broken. And she was right. One evening, she said something I'll never forget. Opportunities are everywhere, but sometimes life gives them to the ones who refuse to quit. I realized she was talking about me, not the job, not the shelter.
Me.
For the first time in months, I felt like more than a survivor. Something inside clicked. I will rise again, not just survive.
Rise.
I didn't know what the future would bring, but I knew one thing. This turning point was only the beginning. Because soon the people who betrayed me would see I wasn't gone. I was building quietly, stronger than ever. I was no longer surviving. I was growing quietly, out of sight. And while I rebuilt my life, the people who betrayed me thought I was still broken. They were wrong. The admin job became routine, but routine with purpose. Emails done efficiently. Tasks completed ahead of schedule. People noticing my reliability. I kept to myself.
No complaints. No explanations.
I didn't want attention. I wanted results. In the evenings, I worked on personal projects. Freelance work online. Small business ideas. Learning new skills. Each day, I added one small brick to the foundation of a new life. Silently, deliberately, carefully. My mentor reminded me, strength isn't loud. It's silent. It's consistent. I stopped checking social media. Stopped revisiting old photos. Stopped imagining revenge. Instead, I visualized the future. Stability. Independence. Proof that betrayal couldn't define me. Every tiny win mattered. Paying my own bills. Saving for a small apartment. Learning a skill that no one could take from me. The silent rise wasn't flashy, but it was unstoppable. Meanwhile, my ex-husband and best friend continued their lives. He flaunted a new relationship. She pretended nothing happened. But life has its own rhythm. I noticed little cracks. His business failing silently. She facing unexpected problems. I didn't celebrate. I stayed in my lane. But I noticed. Because karma doesn't need an audience. It works quietly, too. I started feeling something I hadn't in months. Control over my life. I could pay rent without fear. I could feed my child without asking. I could dream again. No one applauded me. No one noticed yet. But I was rising, like the tide slowly covering the rocks. Invisible. Relentless.
Steady.
They thought they destroyed me. They only made me stronger. And then, one day, a choice they made without me would bring everything into the open. Karma doesn't announce itself, but it never forgets. I had rebuilt my life quietly. I never sought revenge. I only focused on survival. And then life reminded them that every action has a consequence. They were living their lives like nothing had happened. My ex-husband flaunting his new relationship. My best friend acting like she hadn't hurt anyone. But the cracks were appearing. A failed business deal. Friends starting to distance. Rumors reaching the wrong people. I didn't celebrate. I just watched quietly, focusing on myself. Because karma isn't loud, it's inevitable. Unexpectedly, the law caught up. Tax investigations for my ex-husband's company. Fraud allegations for the best friend's side ventures. It wasn't me who reported them. It wasn't revenge. It was the consequences of their own careless choices. Sometimes, life does the job better than we ever could. I reminded myself silently. Mutual acquaintances started noticing the truth. Their lies came to light. People realized how they had manipulated and lied. Social circles started avoiding them. It was subtle, but devastating.
No shouting. No confrontation.
No physical fights. Just reality catching up. Meanwhile, I was thriving. New apartment fully furnished. Stable job. Financial independence. Slowly regaining trust with my child. I realized this is better than revenge. Seeing them fail while I succeed, quietly, gracefully, is far sweeter. I had not changed who I was. I had become stronger, wiser, untouchable by their past lies. 12 years of betrayal. 12 months of survival. And now karma had arrived. I didn't need to fight anymore. The universe had fought for me. 12 years of trust shattered, a life left in pieces. Betrayal burned me to the core. But the most powerful victory doesn't come from revenge. It comes from rising above it all. I sat alone in my new apartment. Quiet mornings. Hot coffee on the balcony. Light streaming through the window. I thought about everything. The marriage that ended. The friend who lied. Losing my home, job, and child for a while. It could have turned me bitter. I could have become someone I didn't want to be. But I chose differently. I won't let anger define me. I'll let strength define me instead. I realized I can't control what others do. I can't rewrite the past. But I can control my response. I invested in myself. Education. Skills. Emotional healing. I rebuilt relationships with my child slowly and steadily. I strengthened bonds with people who genuinely cared. I didn't need to ruin them. I just needed to live better. Living well is the best revenge, I whispered to myself. By this point, the people who betrayed me were facing consequences. Career setbacks. Social isolation. Public exposure of their lies. I never intervened. I never gloated. I watched silently. The universe handled them. Justice doesn't always need a sword. Sometimes it comes quietly in their own failures. For the first time in months, I felt complete. Independent financially. Emotionally stable. Child and family slowly reconnecting.
No vengeance. No theatrics.
Just peace. I realized. I survived. I thrived. I won, not by destroying them, but by building myself. 12 years of betrayal, 12 months of survival, and now my life belongs to me. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers and you rise. This is not the end. It's the beginning of the